All right, welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into a really fantastic mechanical head to head matchup. We're going to look under the hood of the machines that literally drive our modern world, and we'll be comparing the two undisputed heavyweights of power transmission. I'm talking about the ultimate gear showdown, external versus internal systems.
But, before we get to the main event, let's think about a really fundamental engineering problem. Have you ever wondered how machines, like everything from that everyday power drill sitting in your garage to those massive towering wind turbines, how do they actually harness and move power? How do they transfer massive amounts of torque from an engine to the working parts without the whole thing just slipping and grinding to a halt? Well, the answer, of course, comes down to gears. So, here's the game plan for today's explainer. First, we'll quickly cover the basics of gears. Then we'll break down external gears, followed by internal gears. After that, we'll put them in a head-to-head comparison, look at their manufacturing and materials, and finally, check out some real-world industrial applications. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the basics of gears.
Now, the core concept here is actually remarkably simple. At its most basic, a gear is just a circular wheel with teeth cut into it. And when two gears mesh together, they let us transfer power, change speed, adjust torque, and even alter the rotational direction from one shaft to another. And, the absolute crucial point, they do all of this without slipping. To understand how they work, we just need to look at a few key parts of the gear's anatomy. You've got the teeth themselves, obviously. Then there's the pitch circle, which is kind of this imaginary circle where the actual rolling contact happens between two gears. Above that is the addendum, the top part of the tooth, and below it is the dedendum, which ends at the root circle. So, with that basic anatomy fresh in our minds, let's meet our first contender.
Moving right along to Section 2, External Gears Explained.
So an external gear is essentially a circular disc where all the teeth are cut right there on the outside surface. It's got a hole in the center for the shaft, sure, but the real action happens on the outer edge. And this brilliantly illustrates a core mechanical principle. It's what I like to call the pushing off each other analogy. Because the teeth are on the outside, when two external gears mesh, they literally push against one another. So if your driver gear is turning clockwise, the gear it's pushing against, the driven gear, absolutely has to turn counterclockwise. They're always going to rotate in opposite directions. Now, external gears are incredibly popular for a very good reason. They are super easy to manufacture, which naturally keeps their costs low. They're also simple to maintain and incredibly reliable, even when they're spinning at crazy high speeds. But, they aren't perfect. Because they sit side by side and push off each other, they take up a lot more physical space. That direct outside-to-outside contact also translates to higher noise and vibration. Plus, if you need a really large reduction in speed, a high reduction ratio, you're going to have to chain a bunch of these gears together, taking up even more room in your machine.
All right, let's bring in the challenger in Section 3, Internal Gears Explained.
Unlike the solid disc of an external gear, an internal gear, which you'll often hear called a ring gear, is actually shaped like a hollow ring. The outside is totally smooth, and the teeth are cut straight into the inside surface. Now, when a smaller external gear, known as a pinion, meshes inside this ring, something really unique happens. Think of it kind of like a parent guiding a child by the hand, walking side by side. The pinion pushes against the inside of the ring, forcing both gears to rotate in the exact same direction. And that same direction rotation, that is the defining hallmark of the internal gear.
So what's the trade-off here? Well, because the pinion sits right inside the ring gear, this design is a massive space saver. It's highly compact. On top of that, because of the way the teeth sort of wrap around each other, you get much better load distribution. That means it generates way more torque, operates with super high efficiency, and runs with very low noise. However, we've got to look at the cons. Since you're cutting teeth into the inside of a hollow ring, they are significantly harder to manufacture, which absolutely drives up the cost. And because all those moving parts are tucked away inside, they're tricky to inspect and pretty expensive to repair if something goes wrong. Okay, it's time for the matchup. Section 4, the head-to-head comparison. Let's really walk through this mechanical breakdown side by side. It all starts with the geometry. External gears have teeth on the outside of a round disc, right? While internal gears have teeth on the inside of a ring. And this fundamental difference dictates their rotation. External gives you opposite direction rotation, while internal gives you same direction rotation. Now, look at the space and torque capacity. If you've got plenty of room and just normal torque requirements, the external gear is totally fine. But if you need high torque squeezed into a really tiny, low-profile space, the internal gear completely dominates. But here's the thing, mechanical superiority is really only half the battle. When we look at the logistics, we start to see exactly why we don't just use internal gears for absolutely everything. External gears are easy to make, low cost, and super simple to maintain. They're your everyday workhorses. Internal gears, on the other hand, well, they require special machines just to cut those inside teeth. That makes them difficult to produce, high in cost, and pretty tough to maintain. But your payoff is right there at the end. Their efficiency is absolutely top tier.
Let's shift gears a bit, pun totally intended, and dive into Section 5, Manufacturing and Materials. You know, the materials used perfectly reflect the jobs these different gears actually do. For external gears, manufacturers use a huge, everyday variety of materials. We're talking basic carbon steel, cast iron, brass, bronze, stainless steel, and even nylon and plastics for lighter machinery. They're just highly adaptable. But take a look at internal gears. Because they're specifically designed to handle intense torque in compact spaces, like in planetary gearboxes, they strictly demand highly specialized, incredibly tough materials. We're talking heavy-duty alloy steels like EN24, SCM420, and specialized case-hardened steel. You literally just can't cut corners on the metal when you're making an internal gear. So let's look at how external gears are actually made. It's a very standard, well-established process. You start with raw material selection and forging to get the basic shape. Then comes turning on a lathe to get the dimensions exactly right. Next up is gear hobbing, which is this highly efficient way to cut teeth onto the outside of a cylinder. That's followed by shaping, heat treatment to harden up the metal, precision grinding for a nice smooth finish, and finally, a quality inspection. It's a really straightforward, mass production-friendly process. Now, let's contrast that with internal gears. At a quick glance, it looks somewhat similar, right? But the massive bottleneck is right there at step 3, internal gear shaping. You simply cannot use a standard fast hobbing machine to cut teeth inside a closed ring. No way. You need specialized shaping equipment to painstakingly carve out those internal teeth one by one. This single step changes the whole game. It's exactly why internal gears take longer to make, require specialized factory equipment, and end up costing significantly more.
All right, bringing it all home with Section 6, Real-World Industrial Applications.
So, where do we actually see these out in the wild? Well, external gears are absolutely the kings of the factory floor and the home garage. You're going to find them in lathes and milling machines, the power drills sitting on your workbench, standard industrial conveyors, and the basic gearboxes of motorcycles and agricultural tractors. Basically, they're everywhere you need reliable, accessible power transfer. But look over at the internal gear side. They completely dominate advanced, high-tech, and high-torque environments. Whenever you see a complex planetary gearbox, an automatic car transmission shifting smoothly, precise robotics, aerospace drive systems, or even those massive wind turbines generating our power, you are looking at the silent, compact, high-efficiency work of internal gears. So, what does this all mean? The crucial point I want you to take away from this explainer is that neither gear is objectively better than the other. It's entirely about the engineering context. One offers you reliable, affordable accessibility, while the other gives you premium, space-saving torque. I want to leave you with this thought. The next time you drive an automatic car or you watch a towering wind turbine spinning in the distance, take a moment to look a little closer. Ask yourself, which invisible mechanical system is silently driving the world around you? Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredible engineering topic, and keep learning.